Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. I'm Manir Dan Ali. My guest today is Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar Maifata, a former member of the Nigerian House of Representatives from Kano, and now better known as a businessman, the proprietor of Umza Farms International Limited. He's into rice milling, about to go into aviation and also sugar refinery. Alhaji Abubakar Maifata, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Manir. Nice for having me.
Thank you. I don't know, let's start from the rice. You've been at it for more than a decade, for I think more than 11 years?
12 years now.
12 years.
Yes.
So tell me from the beginning, what prompted you? Because I knew you in the House of Representatives and suddenly you appeared in rice milling. Is it the typical Kano gene in you that made you to consider going into rice milling given the opportunity that you saw?
Mr. Manir, I once again say thank you for having me in this program. And as you rightly says, the Kano gene also worked there. You see, when we decided to go into rice, we saw the opportunity because we all believe that importation will never continue. And then for the last 60 years, what Nigeria does is every day they import millions of tons of rice at the expense of our foreign exchange. So if you look at 12 years back, the foreign exchange have started to have some turbulence in it. That is one aspect of the business perspective. The second one is the population growth. However you rely on importation, there is a limit that you can import to feed over 200 mouths of a country. And as you all know that rice is the most stable food in our houses today in Nigeria. So within these two reasons, you can see the opportunity has opened up. So we look at it and say, okay, this is an opportunity. Coupled with the then government start to propagate to people to start going back to farm, and they pick rice also as one of the interesting crop that they want people to start growing. So these are the reasons that we decided to say, okay, let's also join and go for rice.
It must have been a very good experience given that within a short time of setting up the first mill, you now have a second line. I don't know whether by now you even have a third line.
We have the third line, which is bigger than the first and second put together. We have almost 190,000 tons per day, per annum milling line. And also now we have a power plant that produces 1.5 megawatt of electricity.
Using rice
husk. Husk. And also now by December, we will commission our oil mill that will be producing oil from the rice brand.
So there's a lot of backward integration, as they say. That is the business all related together. You are producing power, and then you will also be producing oil.
You see, rice is a commodity that there is nothing wasted in it. You use the husk, which is 20% of the rice, to produce your electricity. The rice brand, after you brush the rice, you clean the rice, a brand comes out of it. That brand has 20% oil content, more than soya beans. But people don't know about it. But it's a common process in India. So we are putting this solvent plant to extracting oil from the rice bran. This is the whole chain now about rice. Later, we'll also be producing silica from the ash. After you burn the rice husk, the ash will give you silica.
That's the one that you do glass with?
Glass. and also in the plastic industry, they all use silica. So that is where we are going to venture in the next couple of years.
This 1 point something megawatt of electricity that you produce.
Yes.
Do you use it all alone, or are you selling it
No, we are
out?
going to use it all for our industry.
Which means you have no business with buying diesel, you have no business with the electricity distribution company?
Of course, because we are commissioning now. Last month, what we spent for energy, that means NEPA and diesel combined, is over 120 million.
In 1 month?
1 month.
120 million.
So it is necessary that we have to start looking at some other ways to get power. So the best thing is to produce our own power using the rice husk, which is cheaper, it's an old technology, and at the same time the boiler will give us steam. So it's a big process, but I think it's worth doing it.
But let me understand it better. Is it what you are already doing or what you are planning to do? This electricity
just commissioned last
generation.
week. We just commissioned it this week.
Commission means you've started generating the power?
We started generating the power just last week.
So the distribution company can now take their power elsewhere? So let's go back to the rice.
Yes.
Because this year there seems to be the big issue of flooding. Of course, rice is usually grown in flood plains. And I recall during our visit one time to your factory where we saw maybe up to 50 trailers waiting to offload.
Yes.
There was, I mean, you did mention that most of the rice is from Taraba. And we see that Taraba is affected by this flooding. Will that in any way be affecting your source of paddy?
Yes, of course, to some extent. You see, if you can recall 2012, there is a massive flood. Then after the flood, then there comes a big opportunity for the country. Before 2012, people thought that you cannot produce rice in the dry season. People thought that rice is only meant to be produced in the wet season and also in Padama land. But after the 2012 flood, then there comes a big opportunity. There comes a research and people start to say, oh, we can also grow rice during the dry season. Then it started to pick up. Last year, it has reached a limit that they are almost at par with the wet season.
You mean the rate of production, the quantity being produced?
The quantity being produced, they are almost at par with the dry season and the wet season. Okay, let me come back to the flood. There is a flood in almost 26 states in Nigeria, and it affects a lot of farmlands. Unfortunately, one of our biggest rice mills that they have almost 5,000 hectares of palm in Nasarawa was being cleared zero by flooding. It has happened many places. But the good story also is that rice has been produced this year more in the upland. And the upland rice are not much affected. So I think that is the only savior we have. So I think the flood has really touched our crops, and I hope the government can find a way to see how they can mobilize the farmers to go back and grow and plant the wet season, dry season, as quickly as possible.
But what is the market currently telling you? Are the prices showing some stability, or are you already seeing that the price of paddy, that's the rice you buy to mill, has it gone up, or how is it? Is it looking like?
It's looking up. It's not stable. More expensive, really, compared to last year. At the beginning of April season, that is the end of October. From now, some people have started harvesting. It's normally come down, but this year is going up.
Instead of coming down,
Instead of coming down. yes.
So how are you going to cope with that challenge?
Well, we will wait and see, and when the harvest started fully, then this will give us more idea on how it will go. Maybe if the harvest start fully, then we can see some areas that are not affected will come up with good crops. It will mitigate the flooded area. And also we will like to appeal to people and the farmers and government to mobilize back to the farm immediately, so that if they plan in 3 months, meaning that in around January, February, we can have a new crop to mitigate what we lost during this season to flooding.
So are you suggesting that, I mean, consumers, end users are not likely to see a spike, an increase in the price of your products?
Yes, but even though you see in recent months, due to the inflation and also foreign exchange and so many reasons, the price of rice has gone up. This is not unique to Nigeria. It is almost all over the world. So it has gone up a little. I don't see it going more than what it is now.
Even with the flooding
Yes.
and all that have happened this year?
Yes, in as much as people go back to the farm immediately.
But as a rice miller and also as president of the Association of
Yes.
Rice Processors, do you do some backward integration in terms of encouraging or even actually having your own like group of farming cooperatives that produce
yes,
for you?
we do. We just mentioned the Olam Farm, who are part of our group. They have 5,000 hectares of land. Unfortunately, it is submerged by flooding this year, but before this year, they are doing well in the farm, cropping 2 times. And some other people like Tiamin has a 10,000 hectares of land now in Bauchi. For us, we have thousands of outgrowers that we are supporting for the last 5 to 7 years. We have in Jigawa, we have in Kebbi. So I'm sure many of our colleagues also have their own pocket of farms or outgrowers that they are supporting. This have helped the sector a lot. Manir, if you can remember, last 10 years when we are talking, the quantity of paddy produced is nothing to write home about. The quality is also not so good. But today, there is a lot of transformation in the quality of paddy. Farmers have understood to grow paddy well, like any other part of the world. The seed has also going on transformation. So we have also a seed that can be at par with any seed in the world. And also the land field that used for paddy production has increased, not double, maybe it has increased more than 10 or 20 times. So the quantity of paddy now produced have increased. So there is a lot of paddy in the system, even though there is a lot of rice mill, but the paddy is almost enough to everybody. But so only now what we are trying to do is to have more, so that it will bring the price of paddy down.
Exactly. I want to touch on the price, that with all these things, the transformations, as you call it, that have happened, why are we not seeing cheaper rice?
Because of the cost of the paddy. We have not reached 100% sufficiency in paddy production. Likewise, the milling. So by the time we reach a level that the paddy is enough for the millers, then we will have surplus. Once we have surplus, meaning that the price will start to come down. But up to now, we are still climbing. We are still climbing. We have to bear this trouble. But I'm sure by the time we climb and reach the peak, by the time we can say we are producing more than 10 million ton of paddy to 15 million, then we are okay. Then by that time, we will start to see decline in the cost of the paddy. And then we will start thinking of export.
I think on that note, we should go for a short break. Viewers, it is 30 minutes, the program of Trust Television. Our guest today is Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar Maifata, the proprietor of Umza Rice and president of Rice Processors Association of Nigeria. Welcome back to the program. It is 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar Maifata, the president of Umza Rice Mill and also president of the Rice Processors Association of Nigeria. Alhaji Abubakar, just before we went on break, you are touching on, say, when we reach 15 million metric tons, that's in terms of the local production of paddy. That is when we will begin to see the price crash. Where are we now in terms of the production? How many millions do you reckon we are doing?
Yes, you know, we don't have any formal statistics, but we are looking at around 6 to 8 million metric ton. That is where we are hovering. But as I told you, a lot of investment is going on in the sector. If I say investment, not only government, people are now seeing opportunity in paddy production. So which means they are going back. Some of the crops, maybe some are now leaving maize to paddy, some are leaving sorghum and millet to paddy, because they can produce now paddy both in low and highland.
That's because there are better seeds that are suitable for the different lands.
So, it's going up. It's going up, and in the next few years, inshallah, we'll come back here and sit down, and I will tell you. Now we have paddy surplus in the country, and then the price has started to come down, because that is the trend everywhere in the world. It started in India. By then, they don't reach this level. So, but today India can say they are producing more than 300 million tons of paddy. And that is why it's cheap there. The same thing in Thailand. There was a time that they don't have. They started and they have reached the peak. So we are now in the process.
But at the moment, do you, that's the processors, do you still import paddy? Do you still expand our scarce foreign exchange?
No. There was never a time that paddy is being imported. There was never a time, and I think there will never be a time that paddy will be imported. If you import the paddy, then the whole process is being repeated.
No, but you could argue that you have the mills to do the processing and all of that. So instead of keeping all the jobs abroad, you bring some of it to Nigeria. And I do recall there was a time that producers were actually making a case that there wasn't enough local production.
There was a time that such a argument is being put on place before government for consideration. But I think later, after some other argument, we decided that argument should be kept aside and let's concentrate. It would be slow, but let's do it our own locally. Right. It is slow, but we are achieving.
But there are so many new rice mills coming up. I don't know, as president of the processors, how many do you have a census of? I'm not talking of the small scale ones, but the big ones in the category of, say, your own, of, say, the one by Olam, the one owned by Wakot in Kebbi, in Argungu, and all of those.
You are mentioning the bigger ones. So if you are talking of this category of mills, they are not more than 10. This category you mentioned.
They are the big categories.
The big, yes. But there are medium size and smaller size of integrated mills. That we are just trying to get the numbers last week. There are more than 100, definitely. There are more than 100. But the one you mentioned, like ours, like the Olam, like the Wakot, like Labana, Stallion, I think we are adding, like, just last week, we have one that joined from Kazuna, owned by Alhaji
Mangal. Yes, I recall that.
I think he started his own last week. You can put it at par with this type of ours. So I think the biggest ones are about 10. Then you come to the medium-sized ones, and it comes to smaller ones. But they are all integrated rice mills.
And they are all in business, because I know some medium or smaller scale ones that have had to close shop because they say diesel costs and whatever.
Definitely. That is why I told you the price of rice has gone up. It's not only the paddy. Diesel. Last 1 year, we buy diesel 200 naira, 210, 220 maximum. Today, you get diesel 850. That is 4 times it added. Foreign exchange, which is you always need it to import spare parts or to pay expatriate staff. This one I don't have to tell you how much forex is today, and even how to get it. So things are multiple that comes out to make sure to the cost of rice. NEPA cost has also doubled. Diesel maybe 4-5 times. Foreign exchange maybe 4-5 times. So these are the things that come up together to build up on the high cost of the rice. If you go back to the paddy as well, the farmers that produce it, look at the cost of fertilizer. Last 2 years, how much is a bag of fertilizer? Maximum 5,000. Now you have to put more than 20,000 to buy a bag of NPK or urea. So these are also costs incurred by the farmers to produce the paddy. So definitely they have to make some profit out of it.
But big players like you that are having all this backward integration,
yes,
are even talking of venturing into other areas.
Yes.
I read a report about your company going into sugar refinery in Bauchi.
Yes.
And there is talk of $100 million. Where is that going to come from?
Yes. Maybe Daily Trust will help us out. Yes, we are planning to start a sugar plantation, and as well as a sugar refinery in Bauchi, precisely in Katago. That is a project that we hope it will see the light of the day maybe in 3 years. As you know, you have to start the plantation, and the plantation will take around 3 years for the sugar to mature. And at the same time, you put on the mill. The mill will have three parts to it. One, the sugar refinery, then ethanol plant, and a power plant. A power plant of about 32 megawatt.
It is power to be derived from the sugar refining process?
Yes. You know, if you squeeze the sugar cane, the juice, you remove the juice, the part
yes,
is called bagasse.
Yes.
That you can use it to power the electricity. So there is nothing wasted, just like rice. So it's a big project indeed, and we hope to see how we can challenge ourselves to make sure it sees the light of the day.
Should I say it's all coming from the profit from rice going into sugar again, or is it bank
profit
facility?
from the rice, profit from the aviation, and some bank facility.
Yes, you've spoken of aviation.
Yes.
It's a big jump from rice processing to aviation, and
yes,
this is a sector that has so many casualties. Even recently, I saw a report in Daily Trust mentioning 62 companies that have gone under. Why are you going into aviation?
Opportunity. As I mentioned to you, what brings us to rice is the same thing also that brings us to aviation. You see, as a businessman, whatever you do, you look at the opportunity on the table. You don't have to look at who has succeeded, who has failed, because they may have different reasons for those who have succeeded and those who have failed. But look at the opportunity on the table, then look at possibility of taking that opportunity. And that is what we do. After a long time of studying the sector and looking at both opportunity that has in the sector and also the challenges as well. So we think it's something that is doable. That is why we decided to venture into it.
I see like you are going into partnership with Aero, because I saw a news item talking about you giving them some of your planes, and it appears you already have the airplanes on the ground.
Yes, we acquired 5 Q400 aircraft from Canada, and 2 have arrived. 1 will be arriving by the end of this month, then 1 in November ending, then December. So, as you know, aviation has a lot of process. We are now in the process of getting our AOC, that is Air Operation Certificate. Without that, you cannot start operating. So instead of us to keep the aircraft in the airport idle, which
paying parking
fees and paying all sorts of things, we decided to work with Aero so that they can operate the aircraft on our behalf before our AOC is ready.
So you want to do a full-fledged airline of your own?
Yes, we have registered it, UNZA Aviation, and we have already gotten our ATL. Now we are in the process of getting our
That's the air traffic license. And then the AOC. Other license without which you cannot fly.
That is AOC. That is now what we are pursuing.
Right.
Yes.
And you are carefully studying the lessons of all those before you, both, as you said, who have succeeded and who have failed. Because it appears the aviation sector is a graveyard of many ambitions.
Yes, yes. But as I said to you earlier, you have to look at both. Munir have started aviation and he failed. Why? Munir have started aviation and he succeeded. Why? So if you study, that is why you have to read a lot and see the reasons why all the two has happened. Then you can also pray, but you have to also know that everything that happened, it is not our power. It is on the power of God. And we continue to thank him for the support. We don't know how it happened. It's just him.
Yeah. Very briefly, you did hint at it, study. Do you have a backroom where you are studying the whole business environment and thinking of, okay, maybe after rice, I should go into sugar, maybe I should go into aviation,
definitely.
All of that. So there's something that is informing these decisions.
Definitely. As you know, Nigeria has a lot of opportunity. It's just for you to choose which one you want to enter. That is it. You just have to choose, oh, let me go to this, let me go to this. But the opportunities are there.
But some will say they don't have the capital to start or some other reason. And even in your own case, probably it was tough starting.
Yes, definitely. To start a business, it's a big challenge, of course. But you know, if you establish yourself in the business and you have a good name, support are there that you can easily get. But for a starter, it's really challenging. We have faced that challenge, and I know even now it's tougher than when we started.
Alhaji Abubakar Maifata, thank you very much for coming to 30 Minutes.
Thank you, Manir.
Viewers, that is it. We've come to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Keep a date with us.